corruption within the oil and gas sector have hindered economic growth and contributed to the financial burden faced by ordinary Nigerians. We expect the administration to go after those that have benefited from the OPEC subsidy aspiration, just as Nigerians are bearing with the hardship induced by the sudden removal of the subsidy. Our people cannot continue to die of hunger, while the people that put in the situation that warranted the removal of the subsidy continue to enjoy the privileges of their offices. This is what is contained on this headline. A lot of information here, quite much on this paper, but we cannot really go all the way. However, let's just take this part before we start to open the phone line and summarize what we have here to give a different angle. Barely 2 months after the removal of petrol subsidy, Nigerians have been advised to cope with the rising cost of fuel. Just as the organized labor movement says, it can no longer fight against the high cost of the product. President of the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, Festus Osifo, who stated this in Abuja yesterday while speaking on the state of the nation, explained that the full enthronement of the regulation as encapsulated in the Petroleum Industry Act (PIA) has liberalized the pricing of petrol. On the non-inauguration of the committee set up by the government to deliberate on palliatives, Osifo hinted that with about 2 weeks to the timeline given to TUC by its executive, the government has not taken any concrete steps to ensure the committees do their work. He explained, as we speak, the federal government has not taken any action towards ensuring the committees begin their work. You may recall that the TUC gave the government about 8 weeks to end all discussions on palliatives, but up to now, nothing concrete has happened. The timeline given by the TUC will end towards the middle of next month, and the committees are yet to begin work. However, we believe that there is still time because many of the subcommittees have been working. For us as a labor movement, we are ready to work into late hours and even weekends to ensure this task is accomplished. While the federal government may not have control over the pump price of petrol, Osifo said the government can choose to defend the naira to stabilize prices of goods and services, especially energy. His words: the labor movement can no longer fight against the high cost of petrol because it is a matter of law. He went further to say that I have always argued that the greatest enemy confronting the country today is the floating of the naira. I do not know of any country in the world that floats its currency without any kind of support. The high cost of petrol is a consequence of the devaluation of naira. Prices are determined by the cost of production. In this case, once the price of crude oil goes up in the international markets, the price will go up. Then once the value of the naira nosedives, the price of petrol will also go up. That is why it went up when the naira went from 460 to $1 to around 850 now. It is a function of the market. Very well said there, and that is the reality. Let's try to look at this particular headline because there are 3 stories in one. First of all, we started with the one that came from the former president Olusegun Obasanjo, where he said good policies but poorly implemented by Nigerian leaders plunged us into this problem we are now, or in the absence of policies at all also contributed, and it has let Nigeria down, let Africa down, and the world at large. But again, one will start to ask, isn't Obasanjo part of the leaders that shaped the country that led to what we are passing through today? Because he was a military ruler in this country. He was also a democratically elected president for 8 good years between 1999 and 2007, and subsidy was there during his time. A lot of other issues were there. Some of the insecurity, some of the out-of-school children started developing gradually during that period and even before that period, and he was the president of this country up until when the issue manifested or came out to to maturity and led us into what we are facing today. Let's take, for instance, the issue of Boko Haram. Boko Haram has been in existence even while Obasanjo was the president, although they were not regarded as a dreaded or deadly sect as at that time, but they were in existence. If you go deep down and investigate in Maiduguri, Yobe axis, they were there even before the 2007 and 8 time that they started coming up and started doing all sort of things as a result of Muhammad Yusuf and the likes. So some of these things, we can trace them back to history, but he was part of it, and he is still a respected leader in Nigeria. So a lot of people are saying, giving their own perspective to the story, while some are of the opinion that yes, if you look at it from a perspective, yes, what Obasanjo is saying is actually right. We need to do a lot of things, a lot of good policies on paper, but when it comes to implementation in Nigeria, we tend to derail, we tend to not have it right. That is why at some point I was having this opinion that why can't we domesticate our policies? Let's localize our policy. The fact that a policy worked out well in Europe or America or Asia doesn't mean it must work well for Nigeria. Yes, on paper it should work, but the reality is quite different. There is this, what we call in Nigeria, the Nigerian factor. I don't know, I was saying the other day that probably we need to study a course in the tertiary institutions, Nigerian factor, for us to understand what this Nigerian factor is. If at all a policy will work well in other country, but when you bring it down to Nigeria, it doesn't see the light of the day, probably due to some cabals who will frustrate that particular effort. A lot of angles to that story. However, you can also tell us what you feel about this story. What angle are you looking at it from? What do you have to say? The phone number to call and jump into this conversation is 0700 010 961 961. I'll take that again, 0700 010 961 961. You can call normal call, or you can send your SMS, or perhaps you want to use the WhatsApp portal. Yes, you can do that. Same number goes for the WhatsApp. You can call via the WhatsApp, or you drop your voice note, or you send a message on WhatsApp. I will certainly give it a voice. Also, the second story on this particular news is that the Northern Youths for Good Governance are saying they have given the federal government 10 days to take away the hardship. That is talking about a group, the Arewa Citizen Watch for Good Governance, ACWGG, saying they have given government 10-day ultimatum to end hunger and reverse petrol price. Failure by the government to heed to their demands, the group vowed to lead hungry, depressed and frustrated Nigerians to a massive civil and peaceful protest to press home their request. In fact, the protests in some part of the country have been witnessed. In Edo, there were protests here and there, and people are passing through a lot. But we have to also be mindful of what we do. Protest is a right, is a civil right of citizens. Yes, it's legal, you can do that. But how sure are you will be able to control the protest from beginning to the end? We are not strangers in this country. We saw what happened during the EndSARS. I'm not discouraging us from embarking on protest. I'm not saying it is not illegal. It is, but we have to be mindful of what we do. We have to know what kind of protest we do. We have to be able to give account, to be able to control what would happen during and after the protest. That is what I'm trying to point at. However, the government should also do the needful, especially when you look at the conversation that started between the Nigerian Labour Congress, the TUC, and the federal government. Now the TUC are saying the government, the committee said, have not started to do anything, though the subcommittees are working. But although there is still time, 2 weeks or thereabouts, because he said it's going to end at the middle of August, that is next month, and today is 25th July. So we still have 2 weeks and some days to see what the government will do for its citizens. But the situation in the country, the condition is really not funny. It is hard. Nigerians are passing through a lot of difficulty. So you may want to have your say on this particular headline before we move to the next headline. The number to call is 070 0010 961 It is correct, because some people would tell you that this number, or they will be thinking that this number is not correct. It is correct. That is how the number is. It's a special number just for you, our listener, because this station is Voice of the People and we give you the voice. You are our key stakeholder. Just call in and also contribute on the conversation. And also you can watch us live. What we do here is live on YouTube. You go to VOP 961 or you type Voice of the People Abuja. You will see what we do here on YouTube. It is live across our social media handles. We are also visible on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Thread at VOP 961. At VOP 961. That is our social media handle. All right, let's move to another headline here that we have that is very, very important as well. Pensioners. Okay, this one is talking about pensioners, and let's take a look at it. It is contained on the Guardian newspaper also. It says pensioners seek inclusion in palliative negotiations, accuse PTAD of withholding benefits. Pensioners have urged the federal government to include their needs in the proposed palliative packages to cushion the effect of petrol subsidy removal. President of the Nigerian Union of Pensioners, Godwin Abumisi, stated this in Abuja yesterday while speaking on the palliatives, adding that pensioners should be treated as part of low earners. He argued that the call became necessary as the subsidy removal has further impoverished and pauperized the vulnerable Nigerian pensioners, like other vulnerable groups of persons in the society who are struggling and battling for survival. The Nigerian Union of Pensioners observed that except if the palliative is not properly handled, rural dwellers and urban poor could be excluded. The union said given the hardship pensioners who reside in rural areas go through before accessing their pensions, the government should include organized unions and associations that have a database of their members in the planned palliatives. The pensioners also sought their inclusion in the proposed 6-month tax-free payment to public servants. They accused the Pension Transitional Arrangement Directorate, PTAD, of withholding their benefit since 2007. They said the defined benefit scheme, that is DBS pensioners under PTAD, the defined benefit scheme pensioners under PTAD are being owed various pension liabilities, including the 2015 pension increment, which the union has been consistently pressing for its payment, but to no avail. Also worth mentioning is the pending liabilities of our members under the contributory pension scheme who are being shortchanged. 15% of the 2007 pension review, 33% of the 2010 pension review, omission of the 2015 pension review, and the consequential adjustment of 2019. We believe wholeheartedly that if the above pension reviews are paid to our members as part of the proposed palliatives, it will go a long way to ameliorate the living conditions of our members who will cause to smile once again, to the credit of the Tinubu-led administration. That is, if at all of these things are being done. That is what they are saying here. Pensioners, it is very, very pertinent for government to include them in the palliative measures that is going to be given or distributed to Nigerians, because really those are the people, those are the class of people that we have to have sympathy and empathy for in this country, especially those who retired more than 10-20 years ago that are still alive. You know what it means. The value of naira as at then, or time value of money as at when they retired, and time value of money now, the gap is very, very wide. You can imagine how much they earn as pension monthly, and they have given their all, their youthfulness, their everything to serve the country. And don't allow the labor of our heroes past go in vain. It should not go in vain, because they worked for this country, they sacrificed for this country. They are part of they are part of our history, and they are also with us presently. So we have to take care of them as a nation. I am also going to use this medium to call on the government to really look into the plight of pensioners in this country. Those are the elderly. Those are the people that we cannot afford to relegate them to the background, because tomorrow you and I will also be pensioners. And what do you expect? If you are a government official and you don't do what is right for especially these pensioners, tomorrow you will also be a pensioner. How do you think it's going to be? These are the people that fought for this country to be where it is today, for the freedom that we are enjoying today. So let's please put them into consideration and do what is necessary to ameliorate their suffering. They are not smiling at all. You can imagine if someone who is still working now, earning the salary of today, the present value of money, is not breathing. We'll talk more of the people who are pensioners, who don't even have the true value of money now. All right, let's go on this commercial. When we come back, we will link up with our guest analyst Rufai Oseni, who will in turn give us more light, or give us some of his angle to the stories that we have, these two that I have taken, and also more that we have not taken. We will do that with our guest analyst Rufai Oseni. Stay with us and don't change your dial. This is Voice of the People, 96.1 FM Abuja. Now you have a voice, and my name is Ali Udoma. You're listening to Front Page Review.
Serving you hot and fresh content on radio, and you have been loving it. Now we're taking it further. Catch us live on YouTube at BOP TV for all the juicy content you can't resist. Talk shows, exclusive interviews, news, lifestyle, and more. It's all about you. BOP TV, show up, speak up.
The award-winning pizza in the US is now here in Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Romeo, the pizza champions, and cold berry ice cream. Delight in every school. Visit any of our outlets and feel the rich taste from the pizza champions and cold berry ice cream
at number 4, Obasanjo Street,
Area 8, Geriki, Abuja, or 3rd Avenue, Guaripa, Abuja, or Federal Housing Estate, Phase 2, Lube, Abuja. Call 0908-831-5906 or 0908-831-5908 or 0909-238-9861. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter at rumourspizza.ng.
Website
www.rumourspizza.ng. Romeo, the pizza champions. Are you aware that Iruka Online Limited installed and designed a 100,000 capacity church building? Oh yeah, we are the sole distributors of global leading brands all over the world, such as Wafday Line Array, speakers and digital amplifiers, Preseno's digital mixers and studio equipment, Coswell workstations and keyboards, Fender guitars, Mapex drums, Ashdown bass combos, just to mention but a few. We offer flexible payment plan handled by our financial department with 24/7 customer care support system. You can visit our website on www.iruka.com to avoid buying fake products. You can also visit our showroom at number 36 Lagos International Airport Road beside Golden Tulip Hotel. Iruka, never settle for less. Are you traveling to Lagos and desire a perfect getaway?
Look no further than the luxurious accommodations at Airport
Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, number 42 Murtala Mohammed International Road, Lagos.
Relax and unwind in our beautiful appointed rooms, featuring all the amenities you need for a comfortable stay.
Now, whether you are traveling for business or pleasure, our attentive staff is here to ensure that your every need is met. We also offer complimentary pickup and drop from the Lagos airport.
Why not take advantage of our state-of-the-art fitness center, outdoor pool, and enjoy a delicious meal at our on-site restaurant?
With stunning views, world-class service, and a prime location, Airport Golden Tulip Hotel is the perfect choice for your next vacation or business trip.
So why wait? Book your stay today and experience the ultimate in comfort and luxury at Airport Golden Tulip Hotel.
For bookings and reservations, please call 0815-8003-333 or 0815-7003-333. You can visit our website at airportgoldentuliphotel.com.
Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, where luxury meets comfort.
Believe me, believe me, believe me.
You can take the boy out of radio, but you can't take the radio out of the boy, can you?
Broadcasting in high definition.
Voice of the People, 96.1 FM.
Welcome back, and in case you just joined, this is Front Page Review on Voice of the People 96.1 FM Abuja. It's now time for us to link up with our guest analyst in person of Mr. Rufai Oseni. Hello, good morning, sir.
Bless you, how are you? How's it going, my friend? How are you? Bless you, bless Abuja.
Bless you too. We're fine this morning. All right, let's go on with the headlines that we have this morning. First off, let's start with this one that is contained on the Guardian newspaper that says Nigeria has failed Africa. Poorly implemented policies drive citizens to poverty. Obasanjo laments.
Yes, Obasanjo is correct. Nigeria has failed Africa because Nigeria is the hope of the black man, and a lot of people looked up to Nigeria a lot when we gained independence. I think it was when we gained independence or we became a republic. The Time magazine front page had the picture of Tafawa Balewa, and in the article they talked about Nigeria being the hope of the black nation, that if Nigeria got it right, the black nation would get it right. Remember, Nigeria was to the black world then what Gamal Abdel Nasser was to Egypt and the Arab world. And you remember the story of Gamal Nasser, that was so popular that in fact he even merged Egypt, a country that was probably called the United Arab Republic. You know, that was in the 50s and 60s. And we had problems, which was occasioned by corruption, nepotism. The 64-65 elections cost a lot of years that led to a civil war that was fought up to 70. After 70, we started growing our economy. We had a lot of money due to, you know, the Young People Wars in 73, you know, and when crude prices rose, and the problem was not money but how to spend it and go on the business. But we caused a lot of inflation that workers were not getting enough buy with their own money to go buy, and they had to reduce salaries when they set up the Doji Commission that also increased the inflation before we returned back to civilian rule. So the corruption also continued under Shagari, and the corruption was blinding. If you are close to power, you get everything necessary for yourself. I mean, we all remember the famous corruption scam of the import license scam in the 80s, and I would blame Ghana for our problems. And then we remember the IMF debacle of 83, 84, 85, when we finally floated the currency in 86, and the Naira never went back to the 99 cents it was pegged to the dollar. In the 99 kobo it was pegged to $1 before, and things just went south since then. Then we went through military, then we came back to democracy. Only Obasanjo gave us a ray of hope. There was debt forgiveness and a couple of other things, but now we're back to square one because of the problem still continues. So we have indeed disappointed. For some other people to argue that Olusegun Obasanjo was part of the problem because he too was part of the citizen problem in the African continent. He was part of the leaders that wanted to just stay on in power, wanted to do a third term. That wasn't possible for him, you know. And but for me, how can Nigeria retrace its steps? We can do a lot when we shun corruption, we shun bad leadership, we shun tribal bigotry, we shun ethnicism, and we look forward and we have a holistic plan for developing our nation. I believe Nigeria can still do it. I still strongly believe Nigeria is a hope for the black man, and it's got a lot of possibilities, but we need to get our thinking right.
All right, let's move to the Punch newspaper. This one says federal government account for $5 billion Abacha loot. This is something that is not new. We've been hearing this, we've been seeing this on the pages of paper, asking successive governments to account for Abacha loot, but up till now, we are yet to have a comprehensive record or details in terms of accounting for what was recovered from Abacha's loot. And there are still calls for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to do that he should open the books for investigation to take place. Do you think that would happen, or what do you make of this whole situation?
I'll be waiting for it to happen, but I very much doubt. I think Serap had taken them to court to trigger an FOI, but we're still waiting for them. It just shows that the government doesn't like to respect court orders. I think the court has said they should go ahead and open their accounts, but I doubt it will do. But if they do, it will be a miracle. So fingers crossed, but we know, because this is a part of the things that are affecting our continent. That's why you see we're still in Africa. We can't be accountable to monies looted. So what can we be accountable to? These are monies that were clearly looted by President former leader, head of state Obasanjo. If we can be accountable based on that, then what are we going to be accountable for? So these are the things that are drawing Nigeria backwards.
Some will even say looted was relooted. All right,
it wouldn't be fast already. It was relooted.
All right, this one I know it's gonna have a very you're gonna have a soft spot from your part. Pensioners seek inclusion in palliative negotiations. Accuse PTAD of withholding benefits.
Yes, and I think pensioners should also be given palliative, because how much did the pensioners even get? Kudos to Peter anyway, because since Peter was set up, they've been able to help greatly to ensure at least payment comes in, but pensioners should get so much more. I think our senior citizens should have just been left alone the way they have been left alone, you know. The truth has to be said that we must be able to get it right in such a way that pensioners are given very few benefits and things that are able to help them a great deal. It should have to be told. I don't think we can include them in the palliative.
All right, now let's move to this one that says Akpabio eyes constitutional role for traditional rulers as Abbas commits to restructuring. It has a rider here. Speaker urges resident doctors to shelve planned strike. Constitutional rules for traditional rulers may soon be a reality. What do you make of the role played by traditional rulers? Do you think it's a welcome development to give them constitutional backing?
I mean, we've always had that before. You know, there used to be a House of Chiefs in the, I think, 1963 Constitution, and chiefs used to meet, and they played a very fundamental role. In fact, most of them by default were political leaders, but also were premiers of various regions. You know, just as we are doing, well, nobody really played in the Western region. So it's going to be bringing all of that back, and I don't think it's out of place. They hold a very prominent role in society. And let's not forget, they were the real leaders before the British came.
Yeah.
You know, they ruled over their kingdoms before the British came, and it took it from them and it stripped them up of the executive power. So if we bring it back, give them constitutional role, I think it's great. I still think it will be a big deal.
Okay, also this one, why I picked this headline is on the Punch newspaper that says ECOWAS seeks solution to arms proliferation, which I know in Nigeria we also have something about the National Center for Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons. But again, we are seeing the issue of arms bandits in Nigeria escalating, arms gunmen in Nigeria escalating. What should we do as a nation to take care of this menace of proliferation of firearms?
At first, the number one step is government to stop siding with non-state actors. I mean, there was a video making the rounds about a particular non-state actor and a group of about some of his people.
Yes.
I don't want to call them mercenaries because I didn't see arms in their hands.
Yeah.
But this same non-state actor was shown brandishing a weapon live on, I think, a Facebook or an Instagram live or something, and nothing has been done to him. So, but this same man was invited by the president, which I don't still know the reason why the president invited him to Aso Rock Villa. In what capacity? And this man even briefed the government and indicted the military, and nobody was able to say anything about it. The government is not giving non-state actors like that, because if you give them the chance, that's why you see projection of arms.
I mean,
also,
he even said he's working for the president. In the video making
he even said he's working for the president.
Yeah.
And I think the presidency also needs to define the kind of work that non-state actors do for the president. It will be well within our rights, so that we also know it is taxpayers' money they are using to pay the non-state actors. Secondly, the customs to up their action, the military to up their action, which also make our borders very secure, because our borders are too porous. We have borders that span miles and miles across every African country, so they are way too porous. So we should also make them secure. Thirdly, we should bring about economic development, because the solution to most of this problem is economic development and all of that. So when we bring about economic development, because that's the emphasize this proliferation of non-state actors.
All right, this one is on the Vanguard newspaper. Putin promises Africa free grain supply. Let me use this word. We are at the mercy. Africa is at the mercy of some of this world power when it comes to food insecurity. How do we get independence from all of this Western world in terms of food? Because I believe Africa, we have everything that we need when it comes to land, the weather, the seedlings, and everything.
You see, some of those African leaders are going to run to different countries, and I think it's very colonialist to say Russia Africa summit. Africa has 64 countries. Russia is just one country. Why calling all of us Africa Japan summit? What's all of that? And the truth is, I've talked to the African Development Bank president many times, and he has told me that there are improved varieties of wheat that people can plant on the African continent. We can be self-sustainable. So why going cap in hand to beg Russia? Why can't we stand on our own? And these are the things that our leaders need to do that they've not done for our continent. But how are they going to be able to do it when they are busy with corruption, busy with nepotism, busy with fighting their opposition? Look at the likes of William Ruto. He's busy fighting Raila in his country, fighting the former president and everything. So where is he going to focus and be able to run government? I think our leaders should do better. I'm sick and tired of all of these African countries going capping how to beg. Let's be self-sustainable. Let's have African leaders that have the gusto that can liberate their own continent. And you see, I kept on saying something about Gamal Abdel Nasser.
Yeah.
Gamal Nasser. That's why Gamal was very popular among the Arab world. When Gamal died, over 2 million people or 3 million people came for his funeral. I'm not saying Gamal was a saint. Gamal locked up opposition. Gamal tried to shut down the Muslim Brotherhood. Gamal, killed a lot of people, which was wrong. But he gave his people a sense of hope in such a way that when Gamal died, they kept on saying God is the greatest and Gamal is his beloved. They kept on saying things like, oh, Gamal can never die. Because he inspired hope and confidence. When are we going to have that kind of leader? Maybe since the days of probably Julius Nyerere, probably the likes of Obasanjo, Kwame Nkrumah. Since we've had people like that, we've never had leaders that inspire confidence and all of that. It wasn't that Egypt had it all, but Gamal was daring. He knew he was going to be defeated when he tried to block the Suez Canal, but he was daring at the same time. So we need African leaders that can be daring and can have a plan for productivity on the African continent. Not going cap in hand to go and beg the West for toothpaste and everything. Now it's wheat we are begging for from Russia.
You're talking about.
I hope we know that.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Hope we know that if we are begging for wheat from Russia, our other brothers will need to go and beg for Americans who will not be happy with us. And that means we are already taking a position as regards this war. Let's be careful.
Really, let's be careful. Then, when we talk about leadership in Africa, though it's not related to the headline that we have here in a way, but I want to have your opinion. Do you see any Africanism or the drive that you're talking about in Julius Malema of South Africa?
Yes, I mean we see a lot of that, but we don't. But you also need to do that Africanism with a dent of hard work and internal work. You need to be able to have product. You need to grow your economy. That was what Mao started in China when he said the Cultural Revolution. The Cultural Revolution was not perfect, don't get me wrong. He let poverty and cost of life, but he instilled the mindset that when the other leader after Mao, Deng Xiaoping, came in, Deng Xiaoping's mind was open enough to be able to say, okay, what will we now use to make China a superpower? Then he brought in trade. That's when Deng Xiaoping famously said, I don't care if the cat is black or white, as long as the cat mouse. And he started trading with America. Do you know that in the 1970s, China only produced about 400 units of refrigerators? But today, a Chinese company is the biggest producer of refrigerator in the world. Biggest producer of air conditioners. China only produced about 400 units a year of air conditioners. But today, a Chinese company of air conditioners in the world, they produce over 40 million units. So over the years with growth, Deng Xiaoping was able to grow. I'm not saying they didn't have their own problems. Tiananmen Square massacre was a bad event that happened, alright? But look at once they joined World Trade Organization, they started pushing at the increase in trade. So it's not just by saying Africanism. What about African capitalism, where Africa can churn out XYZ products? At first, let's sustainably trade amongst ourselves. The entire GDP of the African continent is 3.414 trillion. The market capitalization of Apple is 3 trillion. And then let's even move the GDP of Africa to about 10 trillion. Let inter-Africa trade be about $5 trillion in GDP. Let them make that in GDP for us. Then we start to think of challenging. But currently we are not doing anything. We are very distracted. Constantly we are distracted. And when we are distracted, we don't get any way forward. Look at Ruto. Ruto is distracted. Fighting Raila. People protesting on the street. 16 people were killed in Kenya. And the like, protests have been on for a while. Raila is not doing any better, but Ruto is stoking the embers of war. So those are the problems that hinder Africa. And that's why you see, aside your book, Kwame Nkrumah said, when he set up the Organization of African Unity in 1963, he said the problem with Africa is not, how we can come together, but will Africa truly pass the test of unity for growth? Asad Yafo was right. In the space of 40 years after, Africa countries started getting independence. Between 1963 and 1990, you've had over 50 coups, close to 100 coups in Africa. Everywhere the day is toppling of government. Coups became the order of the day. There was instability. So those are the challenges we need to constantly ask ourselves. And Africa has evolved. Africa has evolved from kingdoms to now, military rulership or democratic rulership. But have we been able to produce? Have we been able to sustain our economy? Look at Libya, for instance. When Gaddafi came in, Gaddafi said that the problem was King Idris. King Idris was very corrupt. But what came out of it? There was still a level of corruption. Some people argue at least he did for his people. He had a forward-thinking mindset, but there was some level of corruption. Look at Egypt. Gamal Abdel Nasser. He said that King Farouk of Egypt was corrupt. So what came out of it? He very large anyway, inspired his people and all of that, but did they really turn out the economic powerhouse? No. So Africa needs to be free in terms of productivity, in terms of production. And that's why we need to give kudos to some African leaders doing well economically. The likes of Morocco. I think Morocco is trying his best, with little resources he's got. But some other economies in Hassan or Morocco. So Africa needs to look inwards for trade first, then build sustainable products and start to grow the economy. And that's how we can really challenge the mindset of the West.
All right, thank you for that. Finally, Delta Tribunal sacks Labour Party rep, declares PDP winner. The Delta State National Assembly Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Asaba on Monday sacked the lawmaker representing Anyocha Oshimili constituency in the House of Representatives, that is Ngozi Okolie. The tribunal nullified the election of Okolie, who contested on the platform of the Labour Party, and instead declared the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Ndudi Elumelu, winner of the 25th February National Assembly election. Should we say this is a kind of way to follow by judiciary? Should we kind of have confidence in the judiciary that this is the beginning of more to come?
The truth is, let us have confidence also in the rule of law. Let us hope that judiciary will do the needful. If the court has ruled like that in the favor, so let's say I found out. So let's just hope.
All right,
let's just hope.
All right, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, do have a wonderful day ahead.
Yeah.
All right, that was Rufai Oseni, who has given us his own perspective to a lot of stories that we have today. Thank God we are able to go through a lot of stories, and you've heard different perspective. However, just like I used to say, you can also be heard on this platform. If you have anything you want to talk at all, any of the headlines interests you and you want to contribute, you can call the studio line 070 0010 961 961 070 0010 961 961. You can call normal call, or you can call via the WhatsApp, or you send message SMS, or you send a WhatsApp message, or you drop a voice note. We are here. All right, let's take a look at this headline before we wrap up. It says Forex crisis. Passengers groan as foreign airlines hike fares. Travelers are expressing their disappointment and frustration as airfares continue to skyrocket, making it increasingly difficult for individuals to embark on their desired trips. The rising costs, coupled with economic uncertainties, have left many passengers in a state of dismay. About 2 weeks after President Bola Tinubu promised to unify the nation's multiple exchange rates, the Apex Bank decided to float the naira at the investors and exporters window of the foreign exchange market. Since then, the naira had fallen from 471 naira to the dollar to now 867 naira to dollar. With these developments, Nigerians, particularly intending international students hoping to resume school in September, had been greatly impacted by the unpredictable fluctuations in the foreign exchange rates. The prices of air tickets had skyrocketed, making it increasingly difficult for Nigerians to travel, especially when compared to neighboring countries such as Benin and Ghana, where airfares are notably cheaper. The current policy of floating the naira had done little to alleviate the situation as the exchange rate continued to rise. Most foreign airlines funds were trapped within Nigeria due to a scarcity of dollars in the market. This scenario created a problematic landscape for Nigerians who depended on reasonably priced flights to go about their businesses. In an exclusive chat with The Punch in Abuja, Ade Johnson, a potential traveler, noted that although he had not yet booked his flight, he had noticed a significant increase in the prices compared to a few months earlier. He disclosed that many Nigerians had started exploring alternative options. One popular choice was to travel via the Benin Republic, where airfares were considerably cheaper. Additionally, the proximity of Benin Republic to Lagos, with a travel time of less than an hour, made it an enticing proposition for cost-conscious travelers. He said, though I have not booked my flight, prices have gone up compared to what was obtained some months ago. The best alternative option is to travel through Benin Republic. Moreover, The Forex situation had created additional challenges for Nigerian students, including increased payment for tuition fees, visa expenses, the international health surcharge, and the need to provide proof of funds for maintenance and upkeep. Previously, Nigerian students utilized Form A for tuition payments, which was pegged at a fixed rate controlled by the Central Bank of Nigeria. However, the current circumstances had altered this arrangement, leading to further financial burdens for students. Sharing her experience, Success Apiaka, a traveler impacted by the recent increase and fluctuation in foreign currency rates, expressed his frustration with the effect it has had on her travel plans and budget, adding that she was forced to reassess and make significant adjustment to financial planning to accommodate the unforeseen changes. This is actually where we will call it a wrap today on Front Page Review. I hope you have enjoyed what we brought to you, and I hope that we are able to keep you informed with what is happening in the country, with as much headlines that we're able to look at, and also go further to check or to view the details for you to know what is happening in Nigeria and beyond. Thank you for listening, and top of the hour will be Igbo Amaka, Front Page Review in Igbo language. If you enjoy what we did or what you listened, you can check us on our social media handle at VOP961 on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Thread, and also we're live on YouTube. You can watch the video. In case you just joined us late and you miss out on a lot, you can actually go to our YouTube page. The video is there so that you will get a recap and a taste of what happened. My name is Ali Udoma. Do have a lovely day ahead.